You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" It doesn't work that way. Gave you through this stupid president $350 billion. We gave you military equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military. If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
Europeans, Taiwanese, South Koreans, Japanese people, are you waking up? The United States is a rabid dog, and we're insane. Make peace with China. Make your own unity. Canada, like, you're in trouble. Mexico, you're in trouble. Wake the fuck up. We're batshit. You're not safe.
The veteran who owns the car told us she has no idea who Mike is.
Mike. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. But your man.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
President Trump.
Will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
President Zelenskyy, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side? That President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't. But,
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president, speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, was really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall.
We've had very, very good talks.
Mr. President,
what about military aid to Ukraine?
President Zelenskyy just said that there'd be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you, firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelenskyy...
The rest of the world is going to very quickly realize that they either are going to do imperialism with us, or they need to stand up and resist us. If you're a European right now and you're watching this, you need to understand that staying in NATO is an existential threat to your lives. Go look and see what they're doing to the Ukrainians. The United States has tried to force them to draft every man over 18 forcibly, to send them into trenches to die to drones and artillery. The country of Ukraine has basically been destroyed. You are cannon fodder, and the United States only gives a shit about itself. Leave NATO immediately and start supporting campaigns and politicians that want to leave NATO. You need to form your own defensive bloc, and you need to counterbalance the United States. If you walk along with us, we're going to use you just like we used the Kurds, and we will abandon you. Just like we abandoned the South Vietnamese, just like we abandoned the Afghans, just like we abandoned the Iraqis, just like we abandoned ally after ally. As soon as it's not convenient for us, you'll go in the fucking heap. And you're no better. We don't care about you.
Zelenskyy is going to have to make. President Zelenskyy, is there anything that you might be thinking?
Am I crazy, or is this meeting super tense? Yeah. It's extremely tense. They're shitting on him.
You may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections. Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. It's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile, to put it mildly. They've been very hostile. There's been a vicious war. This has been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out, and as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking,
it appears they have kicked him out of the White House and they're not doing the joint press conference. How we doing, bud? I mean, he's doing pretty well. He's Secretary of State, which is like the most senior position in the executive outside of the president. I'd say he's doing pretty good.
talking about generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land.
What the fuck is he talking about? He's such an idiot. America, how are we so... The thing about America is, like, people look at America and they're like, wow, it's such a powerful, amazing country. And it's like, have you been to America? Have you been to the United States of America? It is the most beautiful... It's a utopia. It's the Garden of Eden. Infinite resources, infinite natural beauty, infinite productivity of the soil. Amazing. I mean, it's like it was set down on this planet for human beings to thrive. And we have absolutely fucking botched it. We've turned it into a fucking shithole. All right, like this is it's disgusting how much it's been squandered. That's why we're powerful, not because of merit. You know what's wrong with America? It's full of Americans. Exactly.
It's great farmland, but
it's only good because human beings maintained a good environment for 1,000 years beforehand. Oh, absolutely. I'm not deleting the indigenous people at all. They created this utopia and we exploited it and turned it into a fucking parking lot and a shithole, rotten country. They did kick him out. Yeah. I know. I posted it.
Very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Will President Putin have to make compromises?
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker.
Zelensky needs a better poker face, bro. He's got 7 deuce off. There's nothing he can do at this point. He is fucked. You're saying poker face? Poker face what? They're sticking a hot poker up his rectum. What poker face? What's poker face gonna do? I don't, victim blaming, it might be the word. The best he can do is not get bullied and show a little fight that he can go back home and say he tried. I mean, he tried, but you understand that the Ukrainians depend upon the United States to fight this war, right? He's trying not to disrespect Trump to his face because he needs them. They need us. We put... Like why do you think they're willing to sign their fucking resources away in a terrible fucking deal? Why do you think they're literally giving America their raw resources because they need us or they'll be annihilated? Like, and if you're one of those people going, I hope they deny the US the deal, and their bullets run out and the shells run out, and they don't have barrels for their artillery, and they don't have tanks, and they don't have, parts for their. I mean, the Ukrainians will lose the war within a few months. If there isn't a huge supply of weapons coming in from the West, the Ukrainians cannot fight the Russians. You understand that the Russians have to buy or build all the bombs and missiles and rockets and troops that they have, right? The Ukrainians are getting subsidized by Europe and the United States. They're sending in bullets and bombs and training and equipment and all sorts, and they're helping them with all sorts of aspects of the war. Without the US's support, Ukraine cannot stand up to Russia.
This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and by the way, we won it by a lot. That was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and this was one of the things I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
And my second question for President Zelensky. Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level.
They just have random guys bullying him. They just have random guys bullying him and they're laughing. This is supposed to be a U.S. ally. Bard of Prey, thanks for the 10 tier 1. This is supposed to be an ally of our country. It's shocking behavior. I think for a lot of people, you're not involved in like international protocol, and you don't really understand the diplomacy and heads of state and solemnity and just why heads of state are respected. Because I want you to think about every single person you know who's an American, every single person, every single thing Americans are doing all around the world, every single thing, right? Whether they like Donald Trump or not. Think about like every single person who is Ukrainian on the entire planet. They're spitting in their face. They are shitting all over them. And this is supposed to be an ally of ours. And like, I may not agree with the policy that we've taken in Ukraine. I wouldn't want Kim Il-sung treated like this. I wouldn't want anyone in the war, honestly. I mean, maybe Benjamin Netanyahu, who's a fucking war criminal, maybe Hitler. But even then, the United States did not treat the Nazis like this. They did not treat Imperial Japan like this. When we were accepting World War, after millions of people had been killed in violent war, we did not do this to the fucking Nazis. We did not do this to the Japanese. We had them come to like signing ceremonies with all their uniforms on, and they bowed and they signed, and we shook their hands and stuff like that. We didn't treat them like this. Meanwhile, Donald Trump pulls out Benjamin Netanyahu's chair for him.
In this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if you do.
They just have a random guy bullying Zelenskyy. They have a random guy bullying Zelenskyy, and they're laughing. They're laughing at him. What are they doing? Who is that, by the way? Do you guys recognize who that is? I don't recognize who that is. You guys recognize who's talking right now? The guy saying, why don't you wear a suit, is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. Oh my God, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. This fucking thumb. Oh my Lord in heaven. That's so bad, dude.
Own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of the highest level,
This was one of the things I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
And my second question for President Zelensky. Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office and you refuse to wear a suit, just want to see if you do you own a suit?
Yeah, you have problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I
the
don't have
dignity of this
such.
office.
I will wear costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this?
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah. Thank you.
President Trump, you said yesterday, thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you have.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement because we needed what they had, and we're treating, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you'll provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stops shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. We have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back.
President Zelenskyy is shaking his head.
When this deal
no
ends,
that,
I really
Mr.
believe
President.
this deal is going to be over. Question?
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Please.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Well, that's why I like him. One American.
Oh my fucking god. These sycophants, these fucking weak, pathetic fucking losers.
I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try.
This has to be the beginning of the end of the American empire, right? Like you gotta be serious, right? Like Europeans, self-respect. Come on, man. Like you absolutely cannot be serious right now. This cannot be. You can't continue to be our doormats. That's crazy.
Do something to stop the death.
Mr. President,
If I can answer.
President
Yes, if I
Zelenskyy.
can answer.
Please,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I have to.
He's mocking him again. Oh my God. He's mocking him again, dude. This is so painful. What is happening?
I think he's a great guy, by the way. I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what?
That's right.
I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed
I like
beautifully.
this guy. I don't know
I think
him.
he's dressed beautifully.
So I have more. I have more serious things than answer on such
Yes,
questions.
that's
I will answer.
Oh my god. Honestly, I think he should have left earlier. Honestly, like this is so bad. This is so embarrassing. I'm trying not to oversell this, but I literally think this is a turning point in history. Maybe I'm being dramatic. Maybe I'm being dramatic and I'm caring too much about this, but this feels like a turning point in history. Where every single European head of state, the entire political class of Europe. I just want to explain something that maybe you guys don't know, because maybe you didn't study international relations like I did, but the entire political class of Europe are Ameribus. They are people who have built their careers serving American corporations and American interests. That's why they're in their positions, right? Because they're pro-America. And the entire political class in Europe, that entire class of like pro-American Ameribu people in the center left and center right are being completely discredited. And I even think some of them are waking up to the reality that their nation is not going to accept allying with this guy. Like the Euros know this. When Trump got elected, the conference simply lets the public know. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like the only way forward for Europeans is going to be either like a European bloc strategy with greater integration, or a like go at your own way, like a Switzerland or Austrian strategy of just being non-aligned. It's so crazy that I can't believe Sweden and Finland joined NATO just before this happened. Like, epic fumble of all time. Austria's just sitting there going like, not NATO, Pepelot, not NATO, not our problem. Holy shit. Austria and Switzerland just laughing and cackling. They're like, we got mountains, try to attack us, bitch.
On more serious question, if I can.
Yes.
Yeah, so please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will never work, because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke to me.
No, you were the president. You were the president during.
He never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods. He had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format. You know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees.
I think Zelenskyy is operating under the wrong assumptions. He thinks that the United States is not going to completely allow him to just be swept out of power by a slow grinding defeat. And maybe he thinks the Europeans are going to step up.
Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough, because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting, yes? Why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here, and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop.
What would I do if I were Zelenskyy? I would have probably left earlier and just been like, I don't even know what you say. You just, what do you even do? He's been ambushed. He was ambushed.
And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When
That
we
sounds
speak
like a
about
good book. I haven't read it,
security
Terry
guarantees,
and
when
Beast.
the Europeans
The
are ready
Terry
for
and Beast.
contingents,
I have to check that
they
out. Thanks
need
for the recommendation.
USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shares.
That's the point that I think Trump agrees with them. I think Trump and JD Vance agree that Ukraine is not a nation. Like, I think that's what the level of contempt is communicating to me. It's just like they accept the idea that Ukraine is not actually a thing.
These sorts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know. But with all the Europeans.
Can I explain the disagreement with Zelensky and Trump? Don't they want peace?
In media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, under these
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay. This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay.
Do you agree,
This
President
is the rule.
Trump?
Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
I asked under these circumstances, do you envision a trilateral summit
because I wanted to know.
Please, wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine, or on the Ukraine side.
I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved, and it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country. Yeah. Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. They, as you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics.
I told you, Europeans. Bro. and the Baltic people are the most pro-American too. They think if they're the most virulently anti-Russian and the most virulently pro-American that matters.
They got a lot of it's a tough neighborhood too, but we're committed. We're going to be very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize, because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that? Why is the United States, we have an ocean in between, why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, and as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful. but we have put in far more than they have. And I think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Ask you about the agreement again today. What changed between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
what was the difference?
I'm
Was there a
just,
deciding factor? Or was there...
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
A lot of those minerals.
I didn't think we were going to make a deal, and we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, when and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and Putin?
I don't know,
under
but
these
well, they
circumstances?
don't like each other. I can tell you that. Okay, they do not like each other. This is not a love match, and it's unfortunate. That's a man that didn't know much. I'm going to be very nice. Run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending the line, and they have real life, and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also, it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers. It doesn't matter. Do you have ocean or not?
How's the meeting going? I think the best way to describe it is the most thorough humiliation of a head of state I've ever seen in my entire life. I would say it was a turning point in American diplomacy that may be unrecoverable.
Soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kiev or Odessa, which is going to be at the Riviera of the Black Sea?
It was my question.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. There are a lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No,
and a lot of things have
Mr.
to
President,
happen.
you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online. But we live. Ukraine is fighting, and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. He lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. So.
Mr. President,
I think Zelensky is being humiliated. It's like knowing bratty kids are going to say disparaging things. You go in and keep your dignity. Then he goes to Europe and it's like, look at how they treated me. We all knew this would happen. I mean, I agree with that. partially, but the problem is that the Europeans just don't have the capability to completely replace the US unless they start risking their own security. Think about war as a logistics game. Think of it as like you need to produce a certain amount of weapons and material and soldiers every day, and it has to be transported to the front where then it can be used. And then every next day you have to do the same thing, right? And without the United States, Europe doesn't have the capability to fill in what the Ukrainians need without starting to draw down their own stockpiles that would prevent them, and that would put them in a situation where they wouldn't be able to defend themselves in a conflict. Maybe the Europeans are comfortable, risking that. That's the situation that Ukrainians face, depending upon just how serious Trump is and cutting them off. Maybe Trump is maybe it's just bluster. Maybe they're not going to actually cut Ukraine off. The Europeans also have a problem. There are a fuck ton of US bases. Well, leaving aside the US bases thing, Ukrainians can't do this without US aid. Rheinmetall stock suggests Europe is going to go crazy on defense. Oh, you think so? Do we think so? Do we think that the Germans are actually going to remilitarize? He disrespected the United States of America and its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace, from the official White House account. I said, this is the official White House account. The most profound disrespect of a head of a state that I've ever seen. The U.S. treated defeated enemies far better than we are treating an ally. I can't believe NATO is long for this world at this point. From the point of view of an accelerationist tanky, not saying that's me, but just saying from the point of view of an accelerationist tanky that wants to see America fall, yeah, it's good. But from the position of, like, I don't know, global stability and peace, it seems pretty, it's a change. It's a change. I mean, it's a change. America is fucking dead. See, and therein lies the trap. It looks like a trap because it's a trap. They'll say, see, it's the commies' fault. What do you mean? We didn't have anything to do with it. Zombie America. I mean, America's not going anywhere. But as far as America's soft power, it is in the toilet.
When did you last speak
on the minerals deal?
Mr. President, when did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do, is make deals. I'm in the middle of a mess, because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get.
I don't know if Ukrainians are going to go attack the U.S., but god damn, that's bad.
Get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I.
They're attacking the Brits now? They're attacking the Brits now? You're a fucking poodle. That's like kicking your own dog. What the fuck? That's crazy, dude.
See, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made at Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one, that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
JD? It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday. And I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind. Even if we in this room disagree with them, they have the right to speak their mind in the public square.
Unless you're against Israel. God forbid you criticize Israel.
Which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President,
Mr. President, oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So
By the way, this isn't just decorum being bad, okay? It's also a policy. I think that's, if they were just making fun of him, but they kept doing the same policies, then it doesn't matter. But if they make fun of him and like cut him off, then Europeans have to look at this situation and realize that the United States is not an ally you can trust or depend upon, and their word means nothing.
We're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No.
We
don't need that.
Some of those minerals are in the east, Mr. President.
You just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you were
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay. And how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am. I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest there?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about.
Gave me so
take
much
a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian forces, European forces?
The agreement will protect them.
U.S. forces?
The agreement, yeah. We're signing an agreement.
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots? What would you do?
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
They ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions.
Why you have confidence that Putin won't violate a deal?
Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive.
People will ask why you have confidence Putin won't violate the deal.
I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars.
Shut the fuck up,
but
Boomer.
also
Jesus
as a
Christ.
force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I want to respond to this. So look, For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
I can't believe that we're actually in this world where the Republicans are getting to posture as peaceful doves. Like, this is incredible. Way to go, Democrats. Way to fucking go. You have allowed the biggest warmonger freaks to pretend to be peaceful doves. Way to go. This is also discrediting diplomacy among normal people, because they look at these frauds and they go, "Oh, only fraudulent people say diplomacy." Like, this is such a disaster. This is such a fucking disaster. Also, why do they have gold? Why do they have silver plates with Donald Trump etched on? Why do they have like, what is this? This is like a house in Gutenberg where you go in and you just start stealing silver plates for an extra couple groschen. Like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, let's keep going.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine?
Couple things here, couple things to react to this. My first thought is, as a socialist, I am a socialist before everything else. And my response to this is, who the fuck is ever going to want to be an ally of the United States again? I'm still an American. And so it hurts because you look at this and it's just like shameful. But as a socialist, I'm looking at this and going, who's ever going to want to be able to an ally of the U.S. again? And I understand that the United States represents the anti-left power in the world, and that this might actually be considered a turning point in history for the good. This is the people talk about how the U.S. won the Cold War because they're so racist. They forgot China still existed. The Cold War never ended. The Cold War never ended. And China is now winning the Cold War. This is like being down 3-0 in a 7-game series and coming back and winning 4 straight. And this is the moment. This feels like the moment where China is going to start becoming more and more and more dominant on the world stage, because they have led like the strat. We talked about this yesterday. We went through Xi Jinping Thought, a video from Red Pen. which was really great. And we talked about Xi Jinping thought, and he basically, their foreign policy, I think the best way to describe it is it is the prime directive from Star Trek. That's literally China's foreign policy. It's the prime directive from Star Trek. We're not going to interfere in your shit. We'll do mutually beneficial stuff. You know, we'll promote good things. That's it. We're not going to go in there and try to like interfere with your country. And compare that to the United States, which is the Truman Doctrine. If you don't know what the Truman Doctrine is, basically the Truman Doctrine is the United States reserves the right to intervene in the internal political affairs of every single country in the world if we don't like you. That is the Truman Doctrine.
You say what problems we have.
Jesus.
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What the hell is happening? Okay, we have to back it up. We're a little behind reality. I have to back it up. What the fuck is happening? Okay. What did he say?
The Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know that.
bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
Zelenskyy is losing.
You're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us,
They're actually internationally bullying him live on stream. This is the most disrespectful treatment of a head of state I've ever seen in my entire life. This is absolutely disgraceful. I have always been skeptical of the foreign policy of Joe Biden in Ukraine. Everybody knows that. I feel like the United States maneuvered Ukraine into this war and then is now leaving them out to dry and humiliating them in the most disgusting shit I've ever seen. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians have bled to fight Russia's invasion. This is the most I want to see a diplomatic solution, but this is so insanely disrespectful and this is actually is Trump Putin's puppet? What is Trump Putin's puppet? Legitimately, I feel like the libs are right at this point. What the fuck? Xi Jinping would not treat him like this. Putin wouldn't treat him like this. What? Nobody would treat him like this. This is insane. This is I actually feel so bad for the Ukrainians, man. I'm in shock.
Right now, you don't. You're playing.
You say I want a diplomatic solution, but I don't think the best way to get a diplomatic solution is openly humiliating Zelenskyy and the Ukrainians on TV. What do you mean? There's no contradiction in my logic at all. The best thing for Ukraine would be to get them the best deal possible in a peace treaty so it's as stable as possible. while also not injecting, like, you know, United States troops into Ukraine that might cause an actual conflict with Russia. So you have to balance the realities on the ground with creating a structurally stable Ukraine with a defensible border. That should be the goal.
Mr. President,
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you
your
far
country.
more than a lot.
All right, if you're new to politics, I want to explain why I'm shocked, okay? When somebody's the president of a country, or what we call the head of state, they get imbued with a little bit, they're not just a guy anymore. All right? Whether you like them or agree with them politically, they're not just a guy. They represent every man, woman, and child. They represent every piece of history of the country. And they are in the personal embodiment of the nation. That's what that means. That's what head of state means. Now, I hate Donald Trump, and I think he's a fucking scumbag, okay? But if Donald Trump went into a meeting with other foreign leaders and they were just spitting on him and humiliating him, that would be literally spitting and humiliating on America. Now, you can say America deserves it, and I'm here for that, and I hear you. But what they're doing to him is the most profound insult to every Ukrainian that you can imagine. It's basically saying you Ukrainians are just they don't matter, they don't exist, you need to get on your hands and knees, like saying, well, have you said thank you to him in his face, in public? This is really, it's really, the best way to understand it is it's a profound insult to every single Ukrainian person that exists on the planet. And it is JD Vance and Donald Trump saying to you that you don't matter. Because by disrespecting him, they're saying that none of the Ukrainians matter enough who will be offended that they need to worry. Normally in international kind of discussions like this, there is a solemnity and a respect that we show. Like, even very small nations their heads of state are treated with respect because they represent everyone in that nation. And so to just humiliate Zelenskyy like this. And the thing is, Zelenskyy understands that these men, you know, the United States is Ukraine's most important patron in this war. And so he has to balance his own personal feelings of being humiliated and degraded with the consequences that it'll have for millions of Ukrainian people. Do you understand like how fucked up that is? If it actually leads to a ceasefire, that I could care less if Trump is being a dick. Well, that's what I'm saying, is I don't think this helps us get to a ceasefire, man. Like, this disrespect of Ukraine, in order for Ukraine to have a ceasefire that they will agree with, in order for there to actually be something that's stable and peaceful for the long term, Ukrainians have to be respected and consulted, because they're the people that are going to live with it. If, you know, like, we need to make sure that the Russians don't get so much that it fundamentally destroys Ukraine as a country. We have to create balance. That's our role. Create balance for the peace so it will last. You're saying that publicly humiliating Zelenskyy is going to help us get peace? You're insane. If anything, this is going to spiral us even more into dangerous conditions. Like, and also, don't you understand what I'm saying about disrespecting the Ukrainian nation? Don't you see, like, this is actually kind of genocidal. It's the way they treat Palestinians. It's like denying them their status among the nations of the world. Because every nation is, you know, that's what I'm talking about with diplomacy. That's why I'm saying it's not just guys arguing. It's like they represent all of the people. That's what head of state is. You can think that's stupid, and I get it. I'm a socialist. I think it's stupid too. But I also still understand the currency of the world today and looking at this and going like, oh my God. I feel sorrow for the Ukrainian people because they're about to get they're about to be sacrificed at the altar of these people's hubris. Why should China do what you Westoids want? China is they're not a party to this conflict. I'm sure they're in favor of diplomacy. You know, like I don't think China wants this war. I think they think this is a dumb war. This is like how France and Germany settled World War I. Yeah, exactly. Humiliating Ukraine like this is not going to lead to a good outcome in the future.
And campaign for the opposition in October, offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please.
He just said that the Ukrainians interfered in the American elections to campaign for the Democrats. Back that up. That is an insane...
And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to
And they're
Pennsylvania and
over-talking
campaigned
him.
for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
You're not letting him talk. You're not even letting him talk. I'm not trying to be dramatic. But this is legitimately wrong. Ukraine is beyond fucked. That's actually very I just feel like a pit in my stomach, like, damn. Like, if I were Zelenskyy, I'd be scared for my personal physical safety. Not like immediately in the White House, but in like the immediate short term.
You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
that they're
to American people.
Europeans, Taiwanese, South Koreans, Japanese people, are you waking up? The United States is a rabid dog and we're insane. Make peace with China. Make your own unity. Canada, like, you're in trouble. Mexico, you're in trouble. Wake the fuck up. We're batshit. You're not safe. You need to, like, set yourselves up. You need to get American bases out of fucking Germany. You need to get bases out of Lakenheath or wherever the fuck it is in the UK. Get them out. You need to leave NATO. You need to form your own shit. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not safe. The United States is not a partner. Like, are you not seeing this? You don't think they would do the same thing to Poland? You don't think they will do the same thing to Estonia? You don't think they would do the same thing to Germany? Are you okay? You guys need to pull out. You need to pull out immediately. You need to make peace with China. Treat them in a mutually beneficial society. You need to respect them and go forward, because they're not a threat to you. Donald Trump is a threat to you. The United States is a threat to you. Wake the fuck up. Oh my God, the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States watching Zelensky and Trump argue.
But I said to you, I want a ceasefire. With guarantees. Because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
But I said to you,
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very
I understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't please
you're running
be
low on
surprised.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
it doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what
That
what
wasn't
this
with me.
means. It
That was
wasn't
with
you.
a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that
is
was with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make, because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you
but
saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden, because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you...
Honestly, like, this is crazy because Donald Trump has an Eastern European wife, Russia obsessive or Russophobic bigot. But this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. At the end of the day, fundamentally, the Russians invaded Ukraine with violent threats, and they bombed the shit, and they've killed hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers. Even if you believe that, you know, the war was egged on by bad mistakes made by both, you know, the Ukrainian political class and the American political class, even if I grant all of that, treating Zelensky like this is basically just being pro-Russia. Like, blatantly pro-Russia. More pro-Russia than, like, almost any country in the world. It's a despicable thing to do to the guy. Even if you disagree with it. Even if you think that the mistakes were made, which I think. And if you're like, Mike, why do you care about this? Why are you so shocked? Why are you so disturbed by this? Well, because I actually want peace. I want a durable peace. A Ukraine that's humiliated and lashed and abandoned and betrayed like this is going to be a basket case. You're going to build up all sorts of ultra-nationalist, fascistic responses. This is Hitlerian level. And Ukraine is not a tiny nation. It's not the biggest nation in the world, but it's not a tiny nation. You're going to create all sorts of fucking freaks. You can't do this to a nation of people and expect not to get blowback. Like, this is just ridiculous.
You're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right. We'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thanks, sir.
And I need the back of this.
We'll see. I don't know.
All right, guys, come on. Wait, hey, guys, come on, let's move.
Thank you.
White House today, much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion, and I have determined that President Zelenskyy is not ready for peace if America is involved because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage, I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America and its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he's ready for peace. They absolutely are abandoning Ukraine. I wrote this back last week. I said every tank he told the United States would abandon Ukraine when it was politically expedient. That's why we wanted a peace treaty in 2022. The U.S. always abandons nations and groups that depend on it. Just ask American citizens.
The veteran who owns the car told us she has no idea who Mike is.
Mike. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. But you may want to start changing you.